The top 100 dishes of Arizona. We're digesting the cover story of the latest issue next on the Phoenix Magazine podcast. Welcome to the Phoenix Magazine podcast. I am Matthew Johnson, Director of Digital Content, and I'm here to take you through the latest foodie feature inside the brand new January-February issue of Phoenix. It's the top 100 dishes of Arizona, and yes, we cover the entire state when it comes to the culinary delights. Our editorial team, Craig, Leah, and Maddie, joined me on this episode to explore how the list was contrived, the dishes that we love the most, some of the backstories, and we'll name a few that just missed the list. Speaking of food, our fourth annual Phoenix Magazine Dish Fest is coming up March 9th at the Clayton House in Scottsdale. Celebrate the best dishes Arizona has to offer at this wonderful foodie event. It's by far my favorite event that we put on every year. Tickets for Dish Fest are on sale now at phoenixmag.com. And now here's our chat with Craig Outhier. All right, fresh off his stint from Billionaire Island, welcome back, Craig Outhier, editor of Phoenix Magazine. You wrote that's another piece of the new issue that just came out, a travel piece. Check it out in the new issue, January, Feb. But Craig, we're here to talk about food. Let's get into it. Top 100 dishes. I read your editorial note and kind of leading into that piece. And one thing that kind of stood out to me as I was reading through it was something you pointed out, that there's a lot of backstory on a lot of the dishes featured. Go into that a little bit, because that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, we've done this concept before many times, and they're always fun to do. Top 100 dishes, 101 one year. But this time I wanted to go a little longer. I wanted the writers to dig up some more of that backstory, a little of the lore for these dishes. So I think that comes through in the article a lot better than in the past. You know, a lot of times it's a family tradition or a recipe that the chefs who created these dishes are following from. But a lot of times it's just how they made what they're going for culinary on a culinary level. One of my favorite dishes is a new restaurant, Aslan, in Midtown Phoenix. The chef is Pierce Aslan, named, it's an eponymous restaurant at the Clarendon. And he had a chicken fried rice on the menu, which never really presents itself to me as a dish I have to try. But I tried this one, and it was, a paradigm shifting experience for me. It was so good. So I really pressed him for how he did it. And, several different emails went back and forth. Finally, I pried this nugget from him. He finishes the dish with this fermented citrus yuzu, which is a Japanese citrus fruit, vinaigrette that he creates by, fermenting a yuzu and some other citrus juices. And it gives it that final dimension, of that kind of sweet tart quality that is great paired with salty and sweet and all that. And I was just so proud of myself for getting that detail out of him. So I think there's a lot of stuff like that in this.
Yeah, a good chef never likes to reveal its secrets, right?
I know. I don't think he wanted to start with that or
right.
lead with it. But yeah, finally he wanted to get rid of me. I think he had to pony up the detail.
Beyond that, any other kind of stories in there that surprised you or stood out? One that I looked at was the chef, I think Angelo Sosa from Tia Carmen, who had a dream about the dish that we featured in there, or one that
Right.
Some people are like on a vacation somewhere and they're sampling something else, and they're like, they bring that back and they're like, we need to make this good. Like,
I think it was
just they remember the exact moments when the inspiration hit them, right?
Right. He had two such dishes. I think one was a yam dish at Tia Carmen, and the other one was the chili crab dish at Kimbara, which is it's mind-blowingly good. And yeah, I think he travels a lot, and he obviously has mastered a lot of different kinds of cuisines. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what his next dream yields in terms of food. Yeah, another surprising detail, the North, this is a statewide list. The Northern Arizona is full of wonderful duck dishes and game. We found a duck dish in Williams. Oh God, what's the name of the restaurant? I'm sorry. This is, we're in top docs now, so I've moved on to physicians, but
Yeah, the Top
he
Docs issue coming up, and that's our next one scheduled to come out late February. It's the March April issue. It's our biggest of the year, so we can understand why that
yeah,
the name might slip you right there. I know you're
yeah,
looking at it
exactly.
right now.
There's a there's also a lamb dish that we found in Lake Havasu. And the way we found these dishes, a lot of times the writers were um, familiar with, say, the Flagstaff food stand, and it wasn't hard finding dishes there. In other cases, I reached out and found freelancers in Tucson, in Havasu, up in Williams, to recommend dishes that they loved, and they're based there. So yeah, the Havasu dish is at a place called Chaw Bones Tapas and Steakhouse. It's a great little write-up, and she gets the writer, gets into how the owners there kind of leaned into game meats because they're hunters. And the place in Williams is called Red Raven, and it's a grilled breast of duck. But I called a guy who worked for the Grand Canyon Brewing up in Williams, asked him what the best restaurant was there, and he recommended the restaurant and dish, and that's how we found that one.
Oh, right on. Very
Yeah,
cool. So, you mentioned now it's all over the state. It's Southern Arizona. There's a section, and that's kind of how you kind of categorizes by regions, and then the list kind of goes alphabetical from what I could tell. Was there
yeah,
any thought that because I bring that up because I was in Bad Jimmy's and they're in the issue. Their double burger is one of the top dishes
yes,
a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned to their guy at the front, I think his name was Carl, operations guy. I mentioned that they were in, and he's like, "What place did we get?" Thinking that it was a ranking like
ranked
from
list,
one
right?
to 100, and he requested 69 as their, I guess, to go along with their motif or their, their
General
whole
sense of
theme.
humor.
Yeah, right. So, was
Well,
there any thought to rank because
ironically,
you guys did rank the top
right,
five in 2022?
right.
Was there any
We
thought to that?
we didn't rank it this year, but if we had, I think the Bad Jimmy's Burger would have been number one. As we
For sure.
embarked on this project, I went to every editor and freelancer and asked them to submit or nominate 20 dishes. And the Bad Jimmy's double burger was listed almost in every list. It seems to be the most universally beloved dish in the Valley right now, for sure. So that might have been number one, top five easily. I
Very
went
cool.
in the other day and had one, and it is remarkable. My hot take on that one, I wrote that blurb, is that it almost is molecular gastronomy, which is that technique that they help pioneer in French laundry and post Nouvelle cuisine, and usually it's a $200 tasting menu where you're getting molecular gastronomy, but what they do with that burger is so remarkable. They obviously drive it into the grill with such force that the beef sort of puckers, and then they fill it with American cheese, and somehow they're able to create this, like halo around the burger of burnt cheese and atomized beef and grease, frankly, and it's like candy and it's
Yeah.
delicious. And I've never seen anyone else do it as well. And that's why Bad Jimmy's is in this issue.
Yeah. Yeah. They can
And
get that
I'm
nice
getting
crisp
I'm
around the
salivating
edge. Yeah.
talking about it. It's hard to talk.
What time do they open? Um,
Yeah, really.
well, I mean, resolutions now come up. Jim Sharp wrote his piece, and he talked about resolutions he wants for other people. Obviously,
Right.
is that something that you have out there? Is there something in the city or our state or someone in particular that you would want to see resolved in 2025?
I was trying to think, and I haven't given this one much thought. I mean, I would love for the Diamondbacks to resolve to deliver on this Corbin Burns signing and,
For
and
sure. Make a
dethrone
deep
the
playoff run. That
Dodgers.
was mine. I need a team to make a deep playoff run.
Right.
I
Can
don't
an
necessarily. I
Arizona
mean, I do want a
team,
championship, but
right. Can
I
an
can't
Arizona
be. I can't be
team,
that picky.
can an Arizona team not be a bridesmaid for once?
Yeah.
That would be
Can we
nice.
not? Can we not just pee down our leg every single year? Can we?
Right. I mean, even the Sun Devils came so close
Yeah.
this last week, but yeah, that would be a good general, I guess, resolution for the whole state. Um, And yeah, that would be my main one for other people, I
All
think.
right. All right. Well, we need to figure out targeting college football, and that would solve some of our problems. But Craig, I'll get you out on that. Thanks so much. I know you got top docs. You're a busy man, so appreciate
Oh,
your time.
yes. Diving right in as soon as we get off the phone.
That interview with Craig was sponsored by the fourth annual Phoenix Magazine Dish Fest. Get tickets now and join us March 9th at the Clayton House in Scottsdale. Celebrate the best dishes in Arizona all under one roof. Tickets for Dish Fest are on sale now at phoenixmag.com. Now here's Leah Lemoine. We now welcome in managing editor Leah Lemoine. And Leah, your dirty rice didn't make this list of the top 100 dishes of Arizona. What gives there?
Sadly, no, not enough people can come to my house.
Well, it's something that we can just keep exclusive to the office. How about that?
Yes.
So we're just talking to Craig about 100, the new issue, the cover story, top 100 dishes. You had a part in it here. What are some of your personal faves that made the list? Perhaps one that may have not made the list.
hmm well, when I think about what is like quintessentially Arizonan, the one that comes to my mind is the Sonoran hot dog at El Güero Canelo in Tucson. I'm from Tucson originally, so I'm biased. But I just think that it's number one, so delicious, and number two, so evocative of that space and the wonderful Mexican influence. And I think Tucson has the best Mexican food in the state. So that one's my pick. I
I think
didn't
a
write
lot of
that
people
one.
would agree with you there.
Yeah.
Would you go so far to maybe that's your number one dish in Arizona? I know we didn't rank this list like we have in the past, but what would you say is number one?
I mean, certainly I personally enjoy other dishes more, but if someone was visiting Arizona and I said you can only try one dish, I would say try a Sonoran dog.
Sure, sure. What about anything that got off the list? Maybe you tried to advocate for that was, just left on the cutting room floor?
Yeah, apparently I have more of a sweet tooth than I realized because a lot of my pitches were desserts, and Craig's like, we can only have so many desserts and breakfasts. So one thing that I felt was left off was urban cookies. I love their cowboy cookie. It's like a really yummy chocolate chip brown sugar cookie with butterscotch and pecans, and I think there's oats in there. And I just think again, it kind of nods to Arizona's Wild West cowboy heritage. And it's so yummy. I'm a cookie snob, so for me to want to buy a cookie instead of making my own, I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, I had the chance to try them. They brought cookies to one of our best fests a couple summers ago, and those are dangerous. Like those, you can sit down and have a few of those.
100%. Yeah. And their cupcakes are delicious too. So it'd be hard to pick just one thing from that place.
One of the great things about this, the way we framed this issue, is diving into some of the inspiration or the backstory. There's a lot of great stories about how a lot of these dishes were conceived or
Mhm.
dreamt about, or
Right.
maybe a secret ingredient was divulged. What's something that maybe stood out to you?
Yeah. Again, I'm from Tucson, so I love this. It's called Taqueria Pico de Gallo, and they make the best fish tacos that I've ever had. And the owner, Diana, her parents started it, and her mom was from Baja, California, and she wanted to have those Baja style fish tacos in Arizona. So they, hand fry or grill the fish. They make the masa from scratch. It's so delicious. And what stood out to me during our interview is she said that one time she and her husband were traveling in Europe and they met a couple who was like helping them navigate public transportation or something. And they found out they were from Tucson and they're like, oh, we've had the best tacos in the world at this little yellow building. We can't remember the name of the restaurant, but it was so good. And she's like, oh, hi, I'm Diana. I'm the owner. So
Oh,
even like
wow.
these Europeans, like who would think that they would cross paths? And so like I like literally teared up when she was saying that. And I know I'm a
Yeah.
big sap already, but how cool is that? They don't even have a website and yet they're known by these people in Europe as having the best tacos.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really, like food can be personal in
Mhm.
those, in that way. And a lot of people may not think about it, but a lot of people, these chefs, these restaurant owners, they devote their lives to this passion of theirs.
That's so true.
So let me get you out here on this. We talked with Craig about resolutions, building off
Mhm.
the piece that Jim Sharp he didn't really have. We don't have resolutions for ourselves, but for other people, right?
For
What
sure.
uh, what do you what do you think in 2025 needs to be resolved or solved in some way or shape or form for the city? Maybe somebody else in Arizona. What do you have?
Yeah, well, mine's more serious, but I think that the shade and water issues are really huge, especially for unhoused populations, but really for all of us to enjoy the city. We need more shade structures, more trees. And I'm a nerd and I subscribe to the mayor's newsletter, so I know that plans are underway for that. But we just really need to make up for lost time on that. And then a real hot take that I'll probably get hate mail about is I hate lane splitting with the motorcycles when they're allowed to go in between cars now. And
Right.
every day on my way to work, I almost see people get killed because they're just weaving through traffic. And I'm like, that can't be good. So I know the motorcyclists will come for me, but that is my thought.
Yeah, the motorcycle is. I'm in the same boat. I think they're in their own little world sometimes, and I don't know. Some of them get what they deserve, I think. But I'll take on the hate mail with you, Leah. We'll take on that battle together. So no, I appreciate it. I know you guys are busy on Top Docs, so good luck on that next issue coming out in March. And I appreciate your time.
Yes, thanks, Matt. I appreciate you.
My interview with Leah is sponsored by the Phoenix Home and Garden Sunset Tour. Yes, we are excited to announce something new coming to our events lineup this year in 2025. For the last 30 years, we've showcased the Valley's best architecture, interior design, and landscape design on our annual garden and home tours. Now you can mark your calendars for March 1st. That's right, March 1st, a Saturday, as we unveil the Phoenix Home and Garden Sunset Tour, an exclusive evening of design and culinary experiences. Tickets are on sale now at phoenixmag.com. Now here's Madison Rutherford. All right, we now welcome in Associate Editor Madison Rutherford. And Maddie, before we start talking about the dishes, it says here in the masthead that you learned the difference between a pitching wedge and a 7-iron during your Utah golf getaway. Is that right?
So,
what is the difference?
You're actually not the first person to ask me that, which is so funny because when we wrote that, because I took this golf lesson in St. George, which is part of our winter travel feature. Go check it out. So it was kind of like a golf vacation. And I took a lesson at Black Desert Resort. And part of that lesson was like learning all of the different golf clubs. And if I had been quizzed right after that, I would have been able to tell you all of them. But now that the issue's out and I'm on to other things, I could not tell you. So it wasn't a lie when it was published, but I don't remember. Is the short answer to that question.
If you ask some of my golf buddies, the 7-iron's the club that never works, and the pitching wedge is the one that does work. So
there you go.
So is the golf game improving or?
Yeah, that was really my first time playing golf, to be honest. So it was super fun. Golfing is like really therapeutic. Like it's very like calming and you really have to focus and like I think I get it. I get the golf hype now, I think.
Right on. Well, we have you here. Let's talk about top dishes in Arizona, top 100 dishes of Arizona, the cover story. I know a lot went into it, a lot of writers, a team of 11. You were a part of that. Anything on this list that maybe surprised you in a way or stood out that might be like, man, I have to try that next time I go by there?
Yeah, definitely a lot of things I haven't tried. So it's a nice little guide to dining in 2025 in general. I think that it's not just like complex, like foodie gourmet stuff. In fact, it's a lot of just like run-of-the-mill classic foods done exceptionally well. So we have a lot of burgers and tacos and pizzas that really are the best of the best, not only in the Valley, but in the entire state. So yeah, I'm going to be definitely eating around Arizona like the rest of the readers hopefully will with this feature. I think it's very actionable and a lot of the things I have tried, but a lot of them I'm looking forward to digging in.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many approachable menu items, and you might look at this list and be like, oh, that's all it's going to be like $100 sit down dinner easily for one person, but it's really not. Is there anything that stands out from writing that like a backstory that really struck you as, wow, that's really amazing? I was reading through a lot of it, and there's some really, really fun things that stand out to me. I was curious what stood out to you.
Yeah, it is super fun because I think with each dish in the feature, it has its own kind of lore, which is super fun. One that really stands out to me that I wrote about was the burrata at the Barley Hound in Prescott. This is a dish that I tried a couple years ago and it's been on the menu since the restaurant opened, but they do change it up a little bit. And when I interviewed the chef, he had told me that he has a lot of people from Hawaii working in his kitchen. So, as kind of an homage to them and their culture, he added black lava salt to the burrata. And it's already a very interesting dish. It comes with, like, when you think of burrata, you probably think like basil and tomatoes, but it comes with sauteed grapes. So it kind of has this like sweet and savory vibe. And then the black lava salt is kind of a fun little fusiony thing as well. And what he had said, I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't remember the exact quote. It is in the future. But something like, it's not just what the food that goes into the plate, it's the people who make it. And I thought that was really special and could kind of be true of all of the dishes on this list. There's
Yeah,
a lot that goes into them beyond just the ingredients.
for sure. For sure. I like that a lot. The I was talking to Leah about, she mentioned that she a lot of her dessert picks or sweet tooth picks were left off the list. And I thought that was kind of funny because when I think about, oh man, there's something that maybe was left off the cutting room floor. Is there like a great burrito out there? Like I love the jalapeno bucks brisket egg and cheese burrito, and that would make
Yum.
my list as number one. That was not on the list, but is there anything that maybe you advocated for that wasn't on there?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because we all do have our own palates. Like, I think Leah is the like resident sweet tooth of the office, and I am much more of like a savory girly. I love a really complex protein heavy salad. And I also love all of the upward projects concepts. So like Windsor and Postino, they have amazing salads and the more ingredients, the better, the more dressing, the better. But I think that is also like salad isn't super sexy. It isn't super, when you say like, ooh, let's have a bunch of salads on here. I don't think anyone really was super stoked on that idea. So
Right.
um, that's just my personal
Sure.
maybe top 100 salads in the valley. I could probably do that because
Yeah, top 100
I
sell.
love
I like
salad.
that a lot.
Yeah.
I was thinking, we did like a beer issue a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to float to Craig that we include cocktails and mocktails on the list at some point. As maybe just it
Yeah.
could be a sidebar or something, but I'm sure there's another one that will just get our brains going.
I
And
totally agree with you. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so this obviously the it's a food issue. We have to tackle that. So it really kind of cuts into honestly resolutions for everyone is like, oh, I'm gonna eat less or whatever. And we can't do that around here at Phoenix Mag. But what if you had resolutions for other people? What would it be?
Yeah. So that's so funny because I think my resolution is actually to eat more after this
There you go,
feature.
for sure.
But as far as Phoenix as a whole, I think that I'd like to see more third spaces. So just community spaces that really people can just like go and hang out. I feel like the valley is really spread out, and so it's hard to have these cultural hubs that bring people together. I think a lot of other big cities like Portland and San Francisco and kind of these more like because downtown Phoenix, I would say, is a creative hub, but it's so new. So I think that that would be my like personal.
Is there an
I'd like to see
example?
that.
Like, are you talking about maybe like the
Yeah.
Churchill or
So yeah, like
something like
when I
that
think
along
of
those lines?
third space, I think of like cafes, bookstores. I would love to see more like workshops, like art workshops, or like there's a place in Phoenix called Pip Coffee and Clay, and it's a coffee shop and also a like you can take pottery classes there. You can like work with clay. So I think that would be like more of that, like, so people can like, you can go to that by yourself, grab a cup of coffee. You've never like seen a pottery wheel in your life, like you could go and do that and like meet other people. And I think we need more of that in
Yeah.
all parts of the valley.
Yeah, I agree. We were meant to fellowship. I learned that at a Eric Church concert a couple of years ago. But no, I appreciate your time, Maddie. I know you got
Thank
the whole
you.
team is busy on Top Docs coming up later next month. So thanks for joining us, and
Thank you.
great tips on the dishes and the resolutions. And we'll chat at you next time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Well, thanks to Maddie, Leah, and Craig for joining me. Remember to get your tickets now for the 4th annual Phoenix Magazine Dish Fest. It's coming up March 9th at the Clayton House in Scottsdale. Celebrate the best dishes in Arizona all under one roof. Tickets for Dish Fest are on sale now at phoenixmag.com. And that'll do it for this episode of the Phoenix Magazine podcast. Stay hungry out there and make sure to pick up a copy of the new issue on newsstands now.